Welcome back to the On Purpose Investor Podcast, show number 60. The surprising secret way to make more money.
Did you know that there's a secret that successful business owners and real estate investors use to work less hours and make way more money? People find quick success know that sitting in boredom can be incredibly productive time.
It seems crazy, right? Boredom can breed success. Well, the answer is yes. Elon Musk says you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. Well, boredom is an opportunity for your mind to rest and wonder, and can lead to some of the best ideas to help you solve those bigger problems. It's the most critical thing you can do to ensure growth. When is the last time you felt bored and not constantly busy? Our phones and the fast-paced world we live in, that solves all the problems of needing something to do.
Yeah, so in this episode, we uncover the real benefits of being bored and different strategies on finding ways to get there.
All right, let's get bored.
Let's do it. When's the last time you were bored?
Probably when I was a kid, honestly. Yeah. That's probably when I was
I think bored the same. I mean, I think the world has changed so much since the 90s, 2000s.
Oh, big time. That era was the .com era.
Right.
And we were just unfolding the interwebs. I mean, I had a Zanga and a MySpace back in the day.
We should go look at our MySpaces.
Oh boy. I wonder if mine still is playing Fallout Boy.
It wasn't something more angsty than that.
No, it was Fallout Boy.
Wow.
Sugar, we're going down a swinging.
Oh my gosh.
But, before that, boredom for me it was my life.
Yeah, I know. I remember being probably in middle school, and it was summer break. My mom was working. I don't know where my brother was. And I was just so bored. I had an N64, I had TV, but nothing was interesting. Right. And I just laid there on the couch oh my gosh, this is miserable. But there's beauty in it.
Yeah. It's a time in your life where your mind is resting.
Yeah.
Now you may be scrambling, trying to fill that space, but your brain really needs it.
Right.
And your brain needs it to build these neural pathways. Right? When you're a kid, an infant through toddlerism, we're in the toddler impact zone right now, where there is just pure, unorganized, unbridled chaos and emotions. And what is happening is Otto, our toddler, is learning how to build pathways. He stubs his toe and he feels all the pain.
Right. His brain's making that connection.
Yeah. And he also feels all the other emotions. Maybe he's thirsty. Maybe he's hungry. He just potty trained. Maybe he's got to pee. Maybe he's got to poo. He's got all of these things where he doesn't actually have a subconscious yet.
Right. Right.
And so all the feelings are there.
Yeah. You're driving somewhere you go all the time, and you look up and you're like, oh crap, I'm here. That's because you have a neural pathway, a network built that your subconscious just takes over for a little bit, and your conscious brain just kind of goes off, and you look up and you're like, oh shoot. Usually I'm thinking and processing something heavy when that happens to me. You're probably just looking at birds or something.
Oh, I'm always looking for deer. Driving down there, I'm like, oh, there's a deer. Oh, there's a deer. There's a squirrel. Oh, but it's actually a deer.
He's trying to build that pattern. He doesn't have it yet. Yep. So everything is an emergency in his brain.
Every last thing is.
And that's where the terrible twos come in.
Right.
Which is absolutely garbage.
Because their brain is on fire.
Right.
Because they don't have the background core of, oh, I'm thirsty, I get something to drink.
Right.
I'm hungry, I get something to eat. I got to pee, I go to the bathroom. I feel sad, I address it or cry or they feel all of that all at once, and their mind is on fire.
Yeah.
And so they're constantly chaotic.
Right. So they don't feel boredom because they're building their brain.
Right.
And I think we have gotten with phones in particular and TV and all. Yeah. Think about it. You used to have to watch commercials. So what'd you do during commercials? You get up and go to the bathroom during it, or
you'd hurry up and make a bag of popcorn.
Right.
Or you'd do something to fill that space with.
Right. But now we don't have commercials. So we're just constantly taking in media. Yep. And then we have our phones. Then you're standing in line at the grocery store and everyone's on their phone. Everyone's just standing there being present and taking in what's around them.
Looking at other people or looking at the tabloids or just taking in the the world around them.
Yeah.
We're always consuming.
Right. So with that, I think we don't give our brains an opportunity to just be.
Right.
And to think and process. And
right.
We're just constantly filling our heads. And I mean, I know for me, I numb out with some stupid games. I'm playing this like color sort thing right now.
Yeah. It's a little mindless, right?
It is.
And it kind of satisfies this boredom, fill the space.
Yeah.
But do you feel like it also gives you an opportunity to let your mind rest?
In some ways, but I think I need to have true rest with no device.
Right.
I know we'll get into this more later, but like doing a meditation, the whole thing of like sitting there and like feeling the warm energy fill you from that doesn't work for me. My head goes everywhere. But if I'm doing a visualization, I'm like here for it. And it's because it's still using your mind, but it's giving your mind a break too.
Right.
And it being intentional.
When I was a kid and I needed to solve my boredom.
Yeah.
What I would do as like a 8, 10, 12-year-old boy, I would get out a sheet of paper and a pencil and I would draw trucks. I used to draw a really good truck.
Oh, yeah.
3-dimensional
I've
truck
seen some pretty good Big Bear drawings.
I've gotten really good at the Big Bear.
Yeah. But
I would draw trucks or I would go outside. I mean, at my house growing up, it was you got off the school bus, you walk down the 1/4-mile driveway and you get home and, you know, mom says, all right, y'all stay outside till dinner time. Yeah. So we'd throw our book bags on the porch and go play in the woods. But some weekends, my brothers would go to their dad's. My sister would be at a friend's house and it would be just me. And my buddy that lived up the road would be gone to, you know, he'd be away for the weekend. And so I would be so bored.
Well, and having 3 siblings and a best friend next door, like you always had playmates.
Yep.
Until that point.
Right.
So then it's like, shoot, like I got to entertain myself.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would just walk around the woods. I really would. We lived on 8 acres growing up in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. And I just walked through the woods and I'd find mushrooms and I'd kick them.
But do you think like you got like really good benefits from just walking in the woods?
Oh, I know I did. Looking back on it, I know in that moment I was like, I'm so bored. I wish I was doing anything else but walking around kicking mushrooms. But looking back on it today, I wish I had the opportunity to walk through the woods and kick mushrooms right now.
You can, and you can teach the 2-year-old how to pee on pine cones because apparently that's what we do.
That's right. But that moment of me walking around kicking mushrooms was an opportunity for my mind to absorb what I learned in school.
Right.
An opportunity for me to absorb, you know, the different conversations I had with friends at school.
Yeah.
Or I was in band in middle school. It gave me time to absorb the music I was learning. Right. It was an opportunity for my brain to rest.
Right.
Even though I felt miserable and bored, my brain was benefiting.
Right. Well, I think there's a negative connotation of being bored. And especially now, I think back when we were kids, it wasn't great. But like now it's like we're resistant to any kind of feeling of boredom. But there's so much beauty in it.
Right.
I mean, Elon Musk says that the level of your income is tied to the problems you can solve. Mm-hmm. That's not a direct quote, but basically, if you can solve bigger problems, you'll get paid more. Mm-hmm. And we see that in our society.
Right.
And I have realized I can't solve big problems if I'm just constantly doing work.
Yeah, well, you're constantly solving your current problems.
Right.
There's no opportunity for you to evolve and morph into the next level of you to solve the bigger problems.
Right.
If you're a single family investor and the problems you solve are all single family related.
Right.
And you have this vision that you want to own, you know, a hotel or you want to own an apartment. Unless you get bored and give your body and mind the ability to rest and soak in the material that you're trying to learn about these things, you're never going to be able to solve the problems of running a mini door complex.
Right. Absolutely.
M-A-N-Y, not M-I-N-I.
Yes. Well, I know for me, like in the past couple of weeks, first thing in the morning, I get this like intuitive hit of like, here's a podcast episode. And it just comes to me in this like half asleep state. I've also had great instances of that happening. Like when I'm just sitting, sometimes I just sit and just look out the window and things will come to me and I'm like, that's a great idea.
Oftentimes I've been driving down the road with no radio.
Yeah.
No podcast, no radio, just driving, and I let the windows down and the wind blow, and I get incredible, what we call them, downloads.
Yeah.
Which are ideas or thoughts that are delivered to you to get to the next level.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Albert Einstein says that no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Yeah. So handling those bigger problems takes a different level of consciousness.
And to achieve that different level of consciousness, you have to get bored.
And create space for it. Yeah.
Right. And that's the only way you're going to transform into this more successful you.
Right.
Now, there are absolutely people out there that wait until the iron is hot to strike it. Essentially, they wait for the opportunity to be there for them to level up. And your life may offer you opportunities to level up. But sometimes you have to strike the iron and make it hot to morph it. And by doing that, you have to also allow it to cool and then hit it again and then let it cool. And in those cooling stages, that is your boredom. That is your rest. That is your opportunity for growth.
Yeah. I've been learning a lot about quantum leaping.
Okay.
And it's part of like law of attraction, manifestation, the super woo-woo stuff. But the idea is you can skip steps sometimes. And it's kind of where like the overnight success thing comes in again. And like people aren't an overnight success. But there are things you can do in your consciousness to, like, let's say you're Mario at level 2, you can do some work and increase your consciousness to level 5.
Okay.
And skip 3 and 4. So it's still not an overnight success because there's a lot of work that goes into increasing that level of consciousness and leveling up, getting those mushrooms, which we don't condone mushrooms, but Mario liked them.
Yeah, Mario likes mushrooms. Oh, by the way, that movie that came out, the Super Mario movie, you've got to watch it.
Yeah, we need to watch it.
It is an absolute nostalgia slap in the face.
Yes.
Because the entire time you're watching, it's like, oh my God, there's the thing. There's this thing. I remember that when I played it on Super Nintendo or, on Game Boy or whatever you played it on as a kid. Yeah. If you were born in the 80s and 90s, you'll understand the nostalgia that comes from that movie. But anyways, Super Mario ate mushrooms to level up.
Yeah.
So you're saying we can level up without mushrooms.
Not with mushrooms. I mean, if that suits your boat, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. But there's things you can do that will help you reach your goals faster.
Yeah.
And it's by leveling up that state of consciousness. It's like changing your glasses and you're putting on a different lens. And it's super interesting. I am reading The Big Leap. This one is about the upper limit problem.
Okay.
But the idea is conquer your hidden fear and take life to the next level is the subtitle. So it's a great book. By reaching that higher level of consciousness, you can solve bigger problems. And you don't achieve that until you give your brain space to take in the downloads.
Right.
Because if you're constantly scrolling TikTok, the ideas aren't going to come to you. You have to create space.
So many successful CEOs, entrepreneurs, like 7, 8, 9-figure earners, they often give interviews. They often go on podcasts or, television shows or whatnot, give interviews. I don't think I've seen a single one of them that hasn't said at some point that meditation or silence or some type of self-reflection is a part of their day.
Right.
They understand the importance of silence.
Right.
They understand the importance of boredom.
Right.
Now, boredom isn't just about, being lonely. It's not about being out of things to do or, about an introvert not being able to get out there and do things. Boredom is simply the absence of something to do.
Yeah.
And when there's an absence of something to do, your brain can elevate and grow.
Yeah.
And all of these high earners, these big CEOs, these big entrepreneurs, these big business owners, they understand that importance and they build it into their day.
Right.
Now, it can be at any part of your day.
Yeah.
We have recently restructured our whole life.
Right. I mean, it's, the typical advice is you should do your miracle morning savers at 5 a.m. I'm sorry. I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. right now.
I got up at 5 this morning with our 9-month-old. Usually he gets up at 6:30. And this morning he got up at 5.
Yeah.
And I was not the kind of person I want to be at 5 a.m.
Right.
But I get what you're saying.
The point is to make sure that you get it done. And I totally understand that. I have structured it now as my workday starts with an hour block to do some form of the miracle morning.
Yep.
And that's really working for me. The point is to make it a priority is
Absolutely.
all. So do what works for you. Personally, like I hear all these successful authors and people who do some form of the miracle morning and they get up early. And I think it's great. But when you're a parent with young kids, you need every bit of sleep you can get. So figure out how it works to fit into your life and what you're actually going to show up and do. I mean, we were listening to a podcast the other day and the question was, should you meditate? And her answer was, if you'll do it, yes. But don't feel like you have to. Find what works for you.
Right. And maybe your meditation is driving with the windows down and no radio on.
Right.
That is a sense of boredom.
Right.
That is a sense of space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What I've done to restructure part of what I'm doing is, the babysitter gets here at 8:30. And from 8:30 till about 9:15, I come down here, I turn on Spotify into this meditative music, and I literally just sit here. And I listen to the music, and I kind of walk through in my head, what am I doing today? I think about what I did yesterday.
So visualizing your day.
I do. I visualize not just my day. I visualize winning my day.
Yeah.
I visualize conversations I'm going to have, whether they're hard or whether they just, upkeep conversations. I visualize those conversations and I think about me winning. And when you can visualize yourself winning, you're going to win more often.
Right.
If you are visualizing, like maybe you have a hard conversation coming up with a boss or with a spouse or with your children, and all you can really think about going into that conversation is, this is going to turn out awful. They're going to react a certain way. The next few days are going to be just absolutely crazy because I'm going to deliver this news to them, or I'm going to request this of them, or they're going to request this of me. You're likely going to get what you visualize.
Right. That's the law of attraction, is what you put into your thoughts and like repetitively think will come to fruition.
Right.
And I like going back to our real estate journey. I think we visualized a future where we have a son at home and we don't have to work.
Right.
And we saw that vision every day when it was hard.
That's right. And it was really tough.
But we hit the goal, like literally in the 11th hour.
Right.
So it's what you want to have happen. If you can envision that, then you'll get it.
Oh, absolutely.
It might not come exactly how or when you want it, but in some way.
And it'll come to you.
Right.
And it seems to always do.
Yeah.
I know that when I visualize winning, I see winning more often. Now, winning doesn't mean you make a lot of money.
Do you play that song? All I do is win, no matter what.
No, I don't play the song.
You should.
I should, yeah. But winning to me is having productive conversations. Like I had lunch with a student of ours yesterday, and going on the drive there, I was kind of visualizing my conversation with him. And my conversation that I wanted to be successful was I wanted to hear him. I wanted to know what he's going through. I wanted to see how I could help. And I just wanted to catch up with somebody that I value.
Yeah.
And that conversation, that lunch was so positive. And it breeds more positivity.
Right.
And when you can spread joy and you can spread happiness and you can spread positivity, it's a cancer, but a good cancer. Yeah. It spreads and it grows. So you do want to do that with your boredom.
Right.
You want to visualize the positivity that's coming.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of guided meditations and things. And sometimes I'll just do them on my own, not with the audio playing. But
yeah,
I have realized with doing this, I have so much more space and I feel so much lighter because I'm giving myself the ability to just be.
Right.
And let the ideas come to me. I mean, I have not put effort into coming up with a podcast topic in weeks.
Yeah.
Because they just come to me. And some of them do very well. Some of them have not done as well. And we're just constantly taking the information and developing new strategies. But I feel like if an idea comes to me that feels like one of those intuitive downloads, then we have to give it a shot.
That's right. But it took providing space for that to come.
Absolutely. To you. Yeah. Really interesting seeing it happen. And like, even just in conversations with us, like there have been times you're not conveying something the way I know you want to. and an idea will pop in my head and I'm like, oh, that's what he's trying to say. And then I say that and you're like, yes, that's exactly it. So
do you sometimes force into existence the things I'm trying to say?
What do you mean?
Like, do you make them come to fruition? Like, I know what I'm trying to say. You're not understanding what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But then you give yourself space to hear what I said and then morph it into what I was really trying to say.
Yeah. Am I like hoodoo voodoo magic on you?
Ooh.
The Force.
She's using the Force, y'all.
I don't know what you're asking.
No, it's just
exactly. Maybe it'll come to me later.
It'll come to you later. That's right.
Yeah.
So what's going to change? Well, the biggest thing is you're going to begin to think. You're going to begin to like truly think instead of existing.
Right.
But you'll begin to think. You'll begin to think about your life instead of solving what's just happening at the moment. You're going to begin to start having really profound ideas. And like I said earlier, we call these downloads.
Yeah.
But you're not going to receive a download unless you give yourself space to receive it. And then the last thing is you will like being lazy.
Yeah.
You will start to enjoy that laziness, that boredom feeling. Now, lazy is not bad all the time. You know, being busy for the sake of being busy is such a, you know, it's so bad for you.
Right. I mean, I know I want to rebuild a lot of our website, and I know I could take that on. But if I do, then I'm not going to be able to show up on the podcast in the way I want. I'm not going to be able to show up for the kids or with you. So I know I need to hire a VA, and that'll provide her a great income.
Yeah.
And I won't have to do it. And I think we get so caught in this needs to be done. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of outsourcing and creating space. And this is how you wind up scaling and making more money, is by giving yourself the space. Then you're allowed to think more.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, if I hire somebody else to handle this, then you have even more space. And then you can like truly rest. Like I spent a lot of time yesterday watching a garbage show on Netflix, and I was not feeling a high level of energy, but today I feel a lot better. But I feel like if I had pushed through and like forced myself to work, that I'd still feel like crap today.
Right.
So I'm really trying to pay attention to like energy levels and how I'm feeling and what feels fun. And I think taking the time to sit and be bored, it just creates space to feel. How are you feeling? I mean, so much of our day, we just push through and we don't pay attention to how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are probably burnt out or on our way to it, but have no idea because we just don't take the time to pause.
Right.
And just check in with ourselves.
That's right. And, you know, a lot of people put a lot of focus on being busy for 8 hours a day because that is what the world has told us to do. And being busy for 8 hours a day for the sake of being busy is going to snowball into more unproductivity. So if you work 8 hours because the sake of working 8 hours, but at hour 4 or hour 6, you're like, you know, that's really all I have today.
Right.
But I have to work 8 because that's what society tells me to do. Those last 2 hours are going to subtract from your productivity the next day.
Right.
And maybe the next day you were going to have only 4 hours, but now you're only going to get 2.
Yeah.
So don't be busy for the sake of being busy.
Well, and I would say if you're working a W-2 job for an employer, this is not us saying, hey, cut out early.
No.
You need to fit within what works for your employer's
but
bounds.
Maybe your energy level changes at a certain point of the day.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you were cranking out, 10 TPS reports.
Oh my gosh.
In the first 4 hours of the day.
Right.
And then the last 4 hours of the day, you're only going to crank out 2 or 3.
Or you focus on, like, I like to spend my creative time when I have high energy and then work on task stuff that takes less energy later in the day.
Yeah. There's a way to build this structure into your life no matter what you do.
Right.
You got to make sure you're satisfying the requirements of your employer, but also while not taking away from your productivity.
Absolutely.
So don't sit at your desk listening to meditative music if you're being tasked with accomplishing a task.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also a level of taking 10-minute breaks.
Yep.
Every hour is what I've heard is recommended, but just go outside for a minute, especially if you're working under like fluorescent lights all day long. Like just getting out. For me, when I worked in the corporate office, it was always cold. Oh my gosh. Like,
so you went outside to thaw out?
Yeah, basically. So just like getting some fresh air for a minute and then go back into it. But taking that pause can rejuvenate you in a way that makes you show up even more.
Right.
Later that day or the next day.
That's right.
So
well, I think we've hit this nail with the hammer right on the head. And I want everyone out there to go find a way to get bored, right? So it's time to get bored. Find the moments this week to go and do that. 2 ideas that you can build in, maybe 10 minutes a day. Go on YouTube and type in meditation. And there could be guided meditation. You could do a visualization.
Yeah.
You could do just listening to music and listen to meditative music and just sitting there and just letting your body rest, letting your mind rest. And another one could be a hypnosis. Right now, it's not the watch swinging in the air, things like that. Just go on YouTube and look up hypnosis and find something that works for you. The idea is that you're going to create some kind of space for your mind to rest, to create some sense of boredom so that you can start having downloads.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to shift that consciousness to the next level so you can solve bigger problems, which leads to more income. And then the more income, you can hire people to do the stuff you don't want to do. We did a great masterclass on outsourcing. So if you're interested in that, check out our website for more information. But what I have realized is slowing down helps us speed up. And it's so counterintuitive, but we're seeing it in our business, how slowing down and taking more time for rest is leading to way better results.
That's right.
So
right.
It's exciting.
That's it. So y'all go get bored. If you want to share what you're doing to get bored, you can join our Facebook group, Investor Connect. If you haven't joined our email list, you can get just notes and tips about the podcast coming out each week. Just go to onpurposeinvestor.com and sign up for the mailing list. We send out a weekly email about the podcast and what we're doing in our life.
We also, if you sign up, you can get a copy of the Pathfinders Journey first chapter for free on our website.
There we go. So if anything, go get the first chapter of the Pathfinders Journey for free by signing up for our mailing list on www.onpurposeinvestor.com. But otherwise, that's it. Go get bored. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to our show. I know many of you may listen regularly, but might not have hit that subscribe button just yet. But don't worry, it's a breeze. It takes about 3 seconds to follow or subscribe on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're enjoying the show. Your support means the world to us and has been instrumental to the growth of our podcast. We truly appreciate your help in any way, shape, or form. Together, we'll take this show to new heights. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.